just going to run you guys through my Dark Magician deck and what I'm running. Um, this deck, I mean, it's not incredibly powerful. It can brick sometimes, so you need to be careful about running too many spells and traps because sometimes you can just draw spell and trap after spell and trap, and it's just really frustrating if you can't get out your Dark Magician or if you can't draw a Sanguine. I'm running 2 Sanguines. I used to run 3, but I found that the deck just became like a dedicated Baron de Fleur deck, and I'm kind of playing it more for fun rather than being competitive. And I like to play with my Dark Magicians, my Apprentice Illusion Magicians. So I brought that back down to 2 to increase my odds of drawing, say, Magician Salvation or Eternal Soul or Soul Servant even, which I need to craft another one. But as you can see, I've only got 5 UR credits. So anyway, obviously we've got 3 Dark Magicians to start out with. Jet Synchron, which is really powerful for summoning your Baron de Fleur. That is, I've only got 1 because I don't want to draw it. I can access it from the graveyard using, from my deck using Hulk, which is what I use on my 1 card summon of my Baron de Fleur. Magician's Soul, obviously, really important to get your Dark Magician out. Great when you're comboing with Dark Magical Circle. It's just a free banish every turn. 2 Max C, obviously, Sanguine. Magician's Rod. This is good if I want to. I don't know why. I've got 2, but I find that I normally will draw a Magician's Rod on my first turn. Really powerful if you want to, say, search for your Magician's Navigation. You could search Eternal Soul, Soul Servant, Secrets of Dark Magic, and Eye of Tamius, or Dark Magical Circle. So that's really powerful. It's also good for baiting out an Ash Blossom. If you have the right cards in your hand, you can bait out an Ash Blossom, and you can still use Magician's Rod for Secrets of Dark Magic fusion summon, which is good. 2 Ash Blossoms, and this Ghost Bell of the Haunted Mansion. I feel like this is a really underrated card. Similar to Ash Blossom, when a card or effect is activated that includes any of these effects, quick effect, you can discard this card, negate the activation. Add a card or cards from the graveyard to the hand, deck, and or extra deck. Special summon a monster from the graveyard. Banish cards from the graveyard. You can only use this effect of Ghost Bell and Haunted Mansion once per turn. This is really strong against Eldritch decks, zombie decks in general, as well as Time Lord decks. It's just an underrated card that people aren't running as much as they should. I get a lot of value. I can also use this as a tuner with my Dark Magician to synchro summon my Baron de Fleur. So it serves 2 purposes, and 1800 defense is decent. So it's a really good card to have in my deck. I find running 2 Ash Blossoms with one of these is better. I used to run 3 Ash Blossoms, but I swapped 1 out. I crafted 1 out for this. Crusadia. The main purpose I have this in my deck is for summoning of Baron. But it can also, same with Ash Blossom or Haunted Mansion, can also be used to summon Baron just synchro summoning with Dark Magician. But you can also special summon it to position a link card points to. So it can be good for stalling, but it's better to use for synchron. Artifact Scythe, incredibly overpowered, especially if you can get it out during their turn. You'll lock them out of their extra deck, and that will lock up most decks. Dark Magician Girl, honestly, I don't really use this card that much, but I felt that it had to be in a Dark Magician deck. I used to run 3, and I used to run a very different game relying on my Magician's Salvation, where I would just combo summon my Dark Magician and Dark Magician Girl all the time. But I found it wasn't as strong. Apprentice Illusion Magician, really good in the hand. if someone attacks a Dark Spellcaster, you could just give them 2000 attack and defense, which is really, really strong, you know, against like a Chaos Max Dragon or Zeus or something with a very high attack that can be destroyed by battle. It's also really good to get a Dark Magician into the hand. If you have Magician Navigation on the field and you can summon this to get a Dark Magician in your hand, you'll be able to then summon your Dark Magician next turn, and then you can summon another spellcaster from the deck of that turn, and then in the graveyard this can be used as a negate effect during your opponent's turn. So really, really strong card. I don't know why more people aren't running this card. I get a lot of value out of it. Solemn Judgment, good for defending the backline. You really need this. If you have Eternal Soul on the field, you really need a Solemn Judgment so that they can't pop your Eternal Soul, because if they do, your entire board is going to get wiped, which is definitely a fall down of this deck. But Solemn Judgment, really, really important. Solemn Strike, I actually get more value out of this. It's better to play early on. I'm going to craft another one and get rid of a Solemn Judgment in the future, but 1500 LP is much better than, say, 4000 LP if you're playing in the early game. And it negates special summons or activations, which is really, really strong. I've also got Call by the Grave, which can either negate Ash Blossoms or, you know, banish any graveyard summons that they might be trying to get away with. It's pretty hard to pull off with DPE. I haven't done it yet, but that's kind of why I have it there. Secret Village of the Spellcasters, I just added this into the deck. I actually thought that it wasn't going to get a lot of value, but I saw a couple of other people running it, so I decided to add it in, and I've gotten a lot of value from this, especially if you can pop your Magician's Salvation just to get Eternal Soul on the field, and then you can put on Secrets of the Village Spellcasters. You'll have, if you have a spellcaster on the field, your enemy is completely locked out of all spell cards, which can be really strong depending on the deck. I mean, if they're playing Eldritch, it's not that great, but if they're playing Virtual World or Blue Eyes, it's a lot more powerful. And Rivalry of the Warlords. This is good if they've got a stacked field with a bunch of different monsters. Typically, I mainly run spellcasters, so this can mess me up if I have, say, my Red Eyes Flare Metal or my Baron de Fleur on the field, but if I'm just running spellcasters, the Rivalry of the Warlords is really good at controlling that. I've been able to wipe a couple of boards doing that. Link Karibo, really important for my Baron summon. TG Wonder Magician, again, is there for the Baron summon. Dark Magicians, really, really powerful. It's essentially a max C with a free summon, with a free double summon if it gets destroyed. So every time a spell or trap card is activated, you could just draw a card. And if they want to destroy it, then you can summon a Dark Magician and Dark Magician Girl straight to the field. So it can be really powerful. If you can get Dark Magician out, the Dark Magicians out, and put an Eternal Soul on the field, a Dark Magical Circle, and if they destroy your Dark Magicians, you can just pop out your Dark Magician and you get a free banish. But you can't during the battle step, but if they pop it with a card effect, that can be really, really strong. Got Red Eyes Flare Metal Dragon. This is if someone's got a defense that's really, really set up and it's hard for me to crack. Things like Blue Eyes, where you don't want to attack, say, Soulstone or Maiden with Eyes of Blue, because you don't want to send them to the graveyard. This can be really powerful in inflicting 500 damage to your opponent each time an effect resolves without having to destroy the cards that they want you to destroy. Dark Cavalry is another new one. I found this really, really strong, actually. I didn't think I would use this that much, but I can summon it using my Eyes of Timaeus and a Dark Magician. If there's enough spells in the graveyard, or in either graveyard and on either field, which is great because traps as well, which is great because I'm usually running, you know, at least 3 or 4 spells and traps on my field, you can sometimes gain, get. I feel like I've gotten Dark Cavalry up to 4,000 attack, which could be really, really strong, and you can just knock out things like Zeus, um, and yeah, it can do a bit of damage. Number 11, Big Eye. I've used this once, but I used it to, basically you could just take control of your opponent's card, and I used it to take control of his Blue Eyes, so that he couldn't summon with it, and I couldn't, at the time, I couldn't summon any other cards above 3,000 attack, and I had no negates and I had no banishes, so I just took his Blue Eyes and just killed him with that. Um, Nightmare Phoenix is pretty good. I prefer to use it in like my main 2 phase. If I don't have a very strong defense set up, and I've got the life points to lose, I'll sometimes summon my Nightmare Phoenix in the main phase to destroy something from his backline. Maybe a field spell, or if I know he's just put an infinite impermanence down, something like that. Yeah. So Supply Squad as well. I just added this. I haven't got a lot of value from it, but it seems to do alright. It's not a card that you don't want to see unless you're looking for something specific, but it gets its value, especially with Dark Magicians. My Dark Magicians constantly being destroyed and recalled by Eternal Soul. You can really get some value out of it. Um, yeah. Anyway, guys, that is my Dark Magician deck. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you.